In 1837, work commenced on a lake that served as a reservoir for the Miami-Erie Canal. At its completion in 1845, it was the largest man-made lake in the world. Today, we know it as Grand Lake St. Mary's, and it serves as a historical battleground for these two proud communities. It's the St. Mary's Roughriders and the Celina Bulldogs, next on Game Face Ohio.
You're on the go and don't have time for cords to be tying you down. That's why TSC created the Cord Cutter Bundle. You get big savings for bundling internet and cable, and there's no phone requirement. Choose from 20 megabyte, 50 megabyte, or 100 megabyte speeds. No phone, minimal TV, and all lightning fast internet. Ask about the Cord Cutter Bundles and come home to TSC.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Hello, Frost Roofing.
Frost Roofing holds the same core values our company was founded upon nearly 9 decades ago. We proudly provide quality craftsmanship and top-notch service to each client we serve. We're licensed by several major roofing manufacturers to give you the right recommendations at the best value for your investment. With state-of-the-art equipment, cutting-edge technology, and our honest way of doing business, Frost Roofing is our area's preferred commercial roofing experts. To learn more, visit frost-roofing.com or call 419-739-ROOF.
Eli Alvarez and Paul Sadler here with you for Week 8 of high school football, Week 7 in the Western Buckeye League from Skip Bachman and St. Mary's, and we welcome you into the Minster Bank pregame show. The Battle of Grand Lake St. Mary's, Paul. You couldn't ask for a bigger game, but you could ask for better weather.
You could, but still, that's not going to, dampen the spirits of the competitors, as this is the 100th meeting of these two rivals. And I'm sure there's a lot of excitement. Obviously, we wish there was some better weather. It's a cold, rainy night after we were wearing shorts earlier this week. But that's Ohio October weather for you.
It definitely is. Let's take a look at the visitors from Celina. The Bulldogs come into this one 4-3 overall, 3-3 in the Western Buckeye League.
Yeah, and after a 4-1 start, they've dropped their last 2 games, and they're looking to bounce back versus their arch rival here tonight after a disappointing performance against Walpock last week. The Bulldog offense had been ranked number 1 in the WBL coming in, but was held to 106 total yards, and they allowed nearly 400 yards to the Redskins.
And the senior running back for the Bulldogs is our player to watch, number 22, Kyle Zisselman.
Yeah, Zisselman was limited to 42 yards rushing last week against Walpock, but he's still 7th in the WBL in rushing, and he needs to provide a spark on what could be slick conditions out there.
Looking at the home team, the undefeated St. Mary's Roughriders, 7-0 on the year so far.
Yeah, and they are on a historic clip. They've scored 60-plus in 3 straight games. To put that into perspective a little bit, they've only scored 60-plus twice in a season one other time, and that was a state championship team back in 1992. So they are in uncharted territory from an offensive standpoint. They're the number 1 team in the state. They got a lot going for them, but still a lot on the line tonight.
Running back's a theme for our player to watch, as it's Ty Schlosser, the back for the Rough.
One of the stable, Ty Schlosser, you're going to see him on both sides of the ball as a running back and as a linebacker. Missed part of the season with a hamstring injury, but he's back at full strength now.
As we switch to our keys to the game, first with the Bulldogs.
Can Celina rise to this challenge? Last week they had a disappointing game there in the meat of their schedule versus the number 1 team in the state this week, and then a very good Van Wert team next week. Can they rise to that challenge? They need to keep St. Mary's off balance with the run and the pass, and they need to make some big plays, both offensively and defensively, to be able to win this game.
And our keys to the game for the Roughriders, Paul.
Keep it rolling. They have that record-setting offense. They're averaging nearly 50 points a game, which would beat the 1952-53 teams for the highest average score in school history. They need to bring the pressure on Sweeterman defensively, and they need to limit mistakes. While they're plus 19 in turnovers, which is incredible, they are the 2nd most penalized team in the WBL.
The Battle of Grand Lake. We'll have it for you when we come back. St. Mary's gets the ball to start the first half. You're watching Game Face Ohio.
sometimes you just don't want to get out of your car. That's why TSC has made it easy for you to pay your bill. We have drive-up payment drop boxes at our St. Mary's and Wapakoneta offices. Just pull in, drive around, and drop off your payment. Just one more convenience to show you how much we appreciate you.
TSC, give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Roughriders taking the field here for the Battle of Grand Lake. During the break, the field conditions did not get any better, neither did the weather, as it's continuing to rain. Feel bad for everybody outside of the press box tonight, but hopefully they'll see an enjoyable game, Paul.
Yeah, you can say it's 47 degrees. It's going to get a little colder than that, too, and it's been kind of drizzling, out and out raining. Not going to be the most pleasant game to sit and watch, but it'll be a great night to sit in your living room and watch this broadcast.
So you got a Bulldogs team coming into this one off of 2 straight defeats. Defiance 2 weeks ago, then last week being held scoreless against the Wapakoneta Redskins, and now they've got to go up against the #1 team in the state in the Roughriders.
Yeah, and they're looking for some consistency on offense. You know, we talked about this in the broadcast last week. You know, in their 4 victories, they've scored 40 points or more in those 4 victories. In their three losses, they've scored 14 or less. So, you know, they need to get a consistent effort on offense, and you know, the St. Mary's team is going to be a tough one to go against. You know, they second in the WPL in points allowed. So, you know, they're going to have a tough task against them. But, you know, they got some talent there. They got some experience. Brett Schwederman is an experienced returning starter at quarterback. Zilzelman's a returning starter. Chase Stevens, another senior, is you know, very capable of putting up some yards. And we can take a look there. Head coach Doug Fry in his second stint here has a very successful record in this series. He's 13-2 versus Celina as a St. Mary's coach.
And Coach Fry, 32 years of coaching. On the other end, Coach Brennan Bader in his 2nd year as the Bulldogs head coach, an 11-6 overall record for him. They ended last year with great momentum. They really haven't carried it over to this year like they would have liked to.
Well, I mean, they started off 4-1. So, you know, and they were kind of the talk of the WBL a little bit early. But then, you know, kind of, you know, passing, you know, kind of the baton a little bit to Defiance, you know, when everybody expected Celina to beat them, and Defiance was able to knock them off. And then all of a sudden people's talking, well, Defiance is a little bit of the surprise team.
So the Bulldogs will boot it deep first, and it will be the 6'3 sophomore, Austin Cotterman. He also handles the punting duties for Celina. Got to see him a little bit last week against the Redskins. We'll see if these field conditions affect him at all. From the 40-yard line, Cotterman gets us underway, and his kick goes out of bounds at the 25-yard line.
And, you know, that's kind of a decision. They're going to make him re-kick because everybody knows the dangerous return game that St. Mary's has. So they tend to see kickers wanting to kick the ball, you know, away from them some way, shape, or form. But we saw Doug Fry before, like, all right, you kick it out of bounds, move back 5 yards, kick it to us again. We'll see if that's his decision or if they'll take the ball at the 35.
It does look like they want to make him re-kick.
And I've always liked that decision. While the 35 is good field position, if you got great returners, you know, keep making them kick it to you to give an opportunity.
So I tell you what, even though it's not the best of weather, you know it's the Battle of Grand Lake St. Mary's. The Rough Rider faithful, they've come out in support. The Bulldog faithful, they've come out in support as well. Very well represented, both of these communities here tonight.
Yeah, especially, you know, the student body of Celina is in front of us, and that's especially given the weather, you know, that's an excellent representation for a visiting team.
So the Bulldogs will try this again, which means Cotterman. We'll see if he can keep this one inbounds. Last week, against the Rough Riders, or against the Redskins, excuse me, Walpock was the team with the white uniforms that got dirty. This week it may be the Bulldogs wearing their white. As this one's going to be fielded at the 15, and it's going to be Sean Perry. We'll see what he can do with it. Perry up to the 35, still moving the pile just shy of the 40, and that's where Dunlap and his offense will take over.
And again, this historic scoring pace that the Rough Riders are on, averaging 48.9 points per game, which would be school record pace, scored 60 or more the last 3 games. And, they do it with a lot of experience. You mentioned Braden Dunlap, the senior signal caller. While this is his first full year as starting quarterback, has played a lot of ball here on Friday nights.
They're going to give it to Ty Schlosser up the middle, and Schlosser on his first carry is going to go for close to 13 yards, enough for the first down.
And here's the starting lineups, and again, Coach Fry kind of rotates guys in. We saw Schlosser, our player to watch, officially was not listed as a starter with the roster that they gave us, but between him, Ty Howe, Christian Triplett are all going to get their carries, and then obviously Sean Perry is the standout rusher there, currently 4th in the WBL, and really his stats have been hurt just because they've been rolling out teams so much. He hasn't been playing in the second half.
Very true. Dunlap will give it off again, this time to Perry. Perry moving the pile. He's going to come close to a first down, and I think he got it. So on the first 2 carries for the Roughriders, they pick up 2 first downs.
And going right up the middle of the Celina defense, and the Celina defense is fairly young. They only have 3 seniors listed as starters. The leading tacklers are the Mullenkamps. Luke Mullenkamp beating the leading tackler, and then Logan the second leading tackler, although Luke is the junior and Logan is the senior.
Dunlap will give it back to Perry up the middle. This time going for about 3 or 4 yards. So after the first 2 carries of 12 and 13 yards, the Bulldogs able to stop the Roughriders.
Yeah, and they're just kind of running up the middle with the trap. And we saw last week with Walpock had a lot of success with Evan Keck running that against them. And even we kind of saw that in the schoolhouse segment where Celina was calling the right run blitzes and just weren't able to make the play.
Perry's going to get it once more up the Celina sideline, lowering his shoulder, and he's going to come close to the first down. They will give it to him, so the Roughriders moving the ball very well here on their first offensive possession.
Yeah, and 4 plays, 3 first downs, so very efficient, getting kind of big chunks of yardage at a time.
So the St. Mary's offense is averaging close to 49 points per game, first in the Western Buckeye League, and just about 375 yards of total offense per game, which is 4th in the WBL. This one's going to go up the middle.
And that's Schlosser again. So they're really working that middle, kind of soften that thing up. They're doing that for probably a couple reasons, not just to set things up, but given the conditions, sometimes going outside where you're going to have to kind of make a cut, you're more apt to slip. So sometimes it's better to kind of run more north and south, with the traps, with the leads and the dives.
And I think, Paul, when people think of wet field conditions, wet weather, they tend to think that's going to slow down the air raid of either team, as Perry's going to get the ball once more. But these are 2 teams that don't throw the ball very much. So how is the run game going to be effective for both of them? Well,
again, it's just footing. And, it's easy to look at the footing of the running backs and potential tacklers, but, also the linemen, the guys in the trenches, because sometimes you might lose your balance or your footing as even a defensive lineman. Now you're totally out of the play, or an offensive lineman. You might slip, and now the defense has the advantage.
So this will be play number 7 of this opening drive for the Roughriders, and they've got a 3rd down and 3 to deal with.
Got Howe in the backfield.
Howe will keep it, and it looks like he has enough for the first down.
So again, Doug Fry is not afraid to run the quarterback sneak, and it doesn't have to be, like a 3rd and inches play. It can be a couple yards, and he's got confidence in his offensive line, and especially when Braden Dunlap, 6'4", 185, and pretty athletic, he can go ahead and move that pile.
Dunlap has only attempted 34 passes this year, and because of this guy right here, Sean Perry. Just give him the ball, let him go to work, as Perry comes close to the first score of the game, but he's knocked out just shy of the goal line. So an impressive opening drive for the blue and gold, exactly how they want to start this rivalry game.
And this is what you want to be able to do against a team that's not only your rival, but a team that's lost the last 2 games that might be questioning itself a little bit. You want to jump on them right away and don't give them the opportunity to try to get some confidence.
And now we've got whistles blowing, and looks like maybe a equipment issue for the Bulldogs, as Brandon Stogler is going to have to come off.
You see Grant Wagner trotting in to be able to replace him at safety.
So the play clock will continue to roll down. The Rough Riders come to the line left on it. Dunlap will give it right up the middle to Ty Schlosser, and Schlosser into the end zone for the first score of the game.
That's our player to watch, is the first person to find the end zone, and that's his 4th rushing touchdown of the year, and gives the Rough Riders a quick 6-0 lead.
First drive for St. Mary's. As Vanderveer will come on to attempt the extra point.
Vanderveer did miss an extra point last week.
He did indeed, but he does not do that here. 7-0. St. Mary's on top early here in the Battle of Grand Lake.
Have you heard about TSC's referral program? Refer your friends and family and you both get a credit matching the services they chose. That's right, we'll credit your invoice. There's no limit to the number of friends you can refer. So come back to your local hometown provider and bring your friends and family with you. We'll reward you both.
TSC, give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Owen Kitchen and Bath Showroom has been family owned and operated since 1990. We can help you from start to finish with your entire project. Let one of our professional designers put the final touches on your project. Owen Kitchen and Bath now has 2 showrooms to better serve you in Wapakoneta and Lima. Owen Kitchen and Bath, cabinetry that will take your breath away at prices that won't.
The Rough Riders take 3 minutes and 8 seconds, 9 plays, 60 yards, and they cap it off with a 4-yard run from Ty Schlosser to take an early 7-0 lead over their rivals from Celina. Vanderveer will come back on to boot this deep from the 40. It's going to be fielded at around the 15-yard line. We'll see what type of field position that Stevens can give the Bulldogs, as Chase Stevens is going to be dropped just past the 30.
So pretty good field position for the Celina Bulldogs. Again, they had a tough week last week, but they still ranked towards the top in the Western Buckeye League offensively. They're now 3rd in total offense, averaging 407 yards per game, and 3rd in rushing.
Brett Schwederman last week had a rough time against the #1 defense in the Western Buckeye League in the Wapakoneta Redskins.
Yeah, we had him down for 3 for 6 for 12 yards passing last week.
As whistles are going to blow, and they're going to call a false start going against the Bulldogs.
And nothing that you want to start off with. Your first play from scrimmage doesn't even get underway because of a penalty.
It's not going to get any easier this week. St. Mary's, the 2nd best scoring defense in the WBL. Schwederman will hand this one off right up the middle, as Zizelman will bring it up to about the original line of scrimmage.
He's going to get most of that penalty yards back, so I think they're going to give him about 4 yards on that.
5'9" senior Kyle Zizelman, as we look at the offensive starters.
Now, conversely to their defense, this is more of a veteran group. You have 8 starting seniors with this, and I mentioned Schwederman, Zizelman, and Stevens are kind of like the 3 bigger ones, but Cooper Jones is someone else we also really look for. He is only a sophomore.
Schwederman's going to hand it off again, so Celina trying to take advantage of the running game, as this is going to pick up some solid yardage. Zizelman once again on the carry.
And this is where the 5-yard penalty comes into play as we take a look at the starting defense for St. Mary's. This should be a 3rd and 1 if it wasn't for that 5-yard penalty. St. Mary's, once again, a very veteran group here as well. Eddie Fowler is the leading tackler right now. Once again, they rotate a lot of guys, whether Fowler's starting or not. I do see him out. And Carter Bowman with 7 interceptions for this year. Incredible. Ballwagon, excuse me.
Zizelman trying to bounce it to the outside. He's going to be dropped shy of a 1st down. So Coach Bader with a decision here early in this one.
You know, this is normally out of the comfort zone for a coach to want to go for it. You're inside your own 40, and it's about 4 yards. So, yeah, the punt team is going to go out there.
So the Roughriders with an impressive opening drive. They went 3 minutes and 8 seconds on their score. The Bulldogs, costly penalty on the opening play, and they go 3 and out.
Now, sometimes, you know, on a slick night like tonight, you know, field and kicks can come into play, can be an issue.
Cotterman on to boot it deep. Does from his own 30-yard line, and it's Dunlap that's going to field it. Dunlap with some blockers in front, slowly moving up the field across the 40-yard line, and that's where his offense will take back over. So, Paul, if you're the Roughriders, it's a nice, methodical drive. The last time out, you're just hoping to duplicate that here.
Yeah, you know, I don't think that, you know, Coach Fry is going to do anything really special. I mean, truthfully, you know, given the weather conditions, they had a successful first drive, kind of running the ball primarily, you know, between really the guards. You know, I would look for them to do somewhat similar.
Schlosser looking to cut it back inside. He'll get across midfield and close to the first down. And I think he knows that you picked him as the player to watch for the Roughriders. Ty Schlosser with some impressive runs here early.
Yeah, I love when it works out that way.
And they will say second down in inches.
Yeah, but looking at the, you know, the sticks over here, it's hard to tell how that was not a first down.
As they're just going to give this one right off up the middle, and it will be enough for the first down.
So again, this Rough Rider offense, as you would expect at the top of the WBL, rushing the ball with 316 yards a game, averaging 6.6 yards a carry. And again, passing-wise, you know, not as successful, but that's not really what they need. But they are very efficient with 10 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Perry's going to get the carry here, and Perry's going to have enough for the first down. This Rough Rider offense and the defense just dominating this year. As you talked about, no interceptions thrown by St. Mary's. They've only lost the ball 4 times, while they've gained 6 fumbles and picked off opposing quarterbacks 17 times.
Yeah, they're after that 7 gain, yes, their plus minus on turnover is just incredible. You know, to be plus 19 is just an incredible job. And as you mentioned, you know, intercepting the ball at that high of a rate is remarkable.
Well, you can credit the senior Carter Ballweg with a lot of those 7 interceptions by him alone.
Usually people quit throwing your way when you have that many interceptions.
By far the most in the Western Buckeye League. As we've got a second down and 7, the ball to 26. Dunlap will go under center. They'll pitch it out to Perry once more. Perry with some blockers in front, still moving down the sideline, eventually gets pushed out.
Perry looks like he's going to take this next play off as he trots toward the sideline.
John Perry averaging just under 100 yards rushing per game. I mean, when I say just 99.6. As this carry is going to go up the middle, and the Rough Riders backfield continuing to try and wear down this Celina defense.
And unfortunately, we've seen some games like that this year where teams don't have the gaudy statistics because they've won by so much that they're not playing the whole game.
Second down, ball at the 9-yard line. And now we've got some whistles and a timeout signaled by the Celina Bulldogs. So the Bulldogs will take a break. We will as well. 4:26 remaining here in the opening quarter. 7-0. St. Mary's on top.
Stars and Stripes Graphics is your local screen printer located just east of the St. Mary's Memorial High School. Visit our showroom for all things Rough Rider, including jackets, sweatshirts, hats, sweatpants, ball caps, and more. We also carry items for New Knoxville Rangers and select collegiate gear for Ohio State and Michigan. Stars and Stripes Graphics, your local screen printer.
Strength is about so much more than the body. It's about being together, serving, sharing, and caring for those around us. It's about keeping score in the heart rather than on a scoreboard. Be a part of a community that builds more than your body. At the Wapakoneta Family YMCA.
Coach Vader taking a timeout to talk things over. His defense faced with a 2nd and 6. St. Mary's is going to go to their bread and butter, their running game. Sean Perry diving for the end zone, and they're going to say he was dropped at the 1-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like he almost tried to skid himself into the end zone, but he is going to be marked short. But a successful outside play there for the Roughriders.
Sean Perry, the straw that stirs the drink.
And once again, they're up on the line already just as the ball's being put into play.
It's going to be Braden Dunlap with the QB keeper, waiting for the signal, and there it is. The Roughriders go on top by 2 scores.
And that's his 12th touchdown on the year. That gives him the team lead over Sean Perry by 1 as they were tied going in.
So Gabe Vanderveer will come back out. As you mentioned, missed his only PAT a few weeks ago. This time, perfect again. 14-0, St. Mary's on top here early.
At Minster Bank, we understand that life can get hectic. That's why when it comes to your banking, we offer the services that make your life simpler with tools like person-to-person payments, Pop Money, mobile and online banking, and bill pay. But most of all, Minster Bank is a supportive member of your community with personal relationships and customer service that reach outside of our branches. Minster Bank, helping people achieve financial success.
IC Signs designs, creates, and installs custom eye-catching signs. We use state-of-the-art technology to produce indoor and outdoor signs, LED message boards, and vehicle wraps. We can also help you with LED light conversion, sign refurbishing, custom t-shirts, promotional items, and your print needs. Whether you know what you want or have no idea, trust the experience of IC Signs. Call IC Signs at 419-738-6640.
On their first offensive drive, the Roughriders went 9 plays and 60 yards to score. This last time out, 8 plays, 59 yards, capped off by a 1-yard run from the quarterback, Braden Dunlap, to make it 14-0. Gabe Vanderveer will kick it off from the 40-yard line, and it's going to be fielded at around the 20 by Stevens once more. Chase Stevens up to the 30, spinning his way close to the 35, and that's where Schwederman and his offense will take back over.
So Celina with their second possession, get something started, and this is not how they wanted to start. Down 2 scores and having a 3 and out so far, which again was derailed just by a simple little 5-yard penalty, which is an unforced error, which is something that they need to be able to take care of.
Coming into this contest, the Bulldogs were 5th in the Western Buckeye League in fewest penalty yards. They've now got 37 penalties on the year for 316 yards. As this one's going to be handed off right up the middle to Zizelman, and he's going to come close to the first down.
Yeah, the most successful run of the night so far for the Celina Bulldogs, as Zizelman finds a little soft spot up the middle, and Celina's going to stay up on the ball.
Bulldogs trying to get their crowd into it. Again, wet, rainy night, not very enjoyable if you're in the stands, and they're looking for something to cheer about. Down 14-0 against the #1 team in the state. Second down and 2 officially on the scoreboard. We're going to hand it off up the middle again. No, it's going to be a keeper by Schwederman. Schwederman up to the 50, and he'll be dropped just across it.
So into Rough Rider territory for the first time for Celina, and that gives them a little bit of confidence as you hear the crowd kind of getting into it, and you see Schwederman clapping his hands, and sometimes it's just getting that first down can really give you that momentum to maybe start to put something good together.
Especially a 10-yard carry for the quarterback, Brett Schwederman. Schwederman 5th in the Western Buckeye League in passing this year. 69 attempts, 108 yards, or excuse me, 69 completions, 108 attempts, as this is going to be a handoff up the middle, and the ball came loose, but they're going to say that Zizelman was down first.
And Celina so far choosing to stay on the ground the entire time, which, you know, the weather kind of factors into that, because Schwederman has had some success throwing the ball, as you mentioned, completing, you know, 65% of his passes. But, you know, so far, given the circumstances of the rain, which is starting to come down just a little bit harder than it was at the beginning of the game, you know, can kind of change what you want to do offensively sometimes.
2nd down and 8 from the 47. Schwederman, the gun. 2 receivers to each side of him, and now we've got penalty markers as it's a delay of game. Bulldogs didn't get the snap off in time.
Nope, they get called timeout though.
Oh, yes, they did. So that penalty flag will be waved off, and the Bulldogs burn their 2nd timeout of the half, trailing 14-0 with 2:16 remaining here from Skip Bachman.
You're on the go and don't have time for cords to be tying you down. That's why TSC created the Cord Cutter Bundle. You get big savings for bundling internet and cable, and there's no phone requirement. Choose from 20 megabyte, 50 megabyte, or 100 megabyte speeds. No phone, minimal TV, and all lightning fast internet. Ask about the Cord Cutter Bundles and come home to TSC.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Hello, Frost Roofing.
Frost Roofing holds the same core values our company was founded upon nearly 9 decades ago. We proudly provide quality craftsmanship and top-notch service to each client we serve. We're licensed by several major roofing manufacturers to give you the right recommendations at the best value for your investment. With state-of-the-art equipment, cutting-edge technology, and our honest way of doing business, Frost Roofing is our area's preferred commercial roofing experts. To learn more, visit frost-roofing.com or call 419-739-ROOF.
Out of the timeout, 2nd and 8 for Coach Bader and his offense. Schwederman going to send Song in motion. Schwederman's going to keep it himself up the middle, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down as he's dropped. Keegan Sawmiller with the tackle.
So, but you're in 4-down territory now this time. So, you know, it's 3rd and 3, and you've shown that you can move the ball a little bit. And more than likely, you're going to keep the ball on the ground anyway. So, you know, the Roughriders are going to figure that out sooner or later. And Coach, defense coordinator Nick Yale is going to become more and more aggressive in committing defenders to the run.
Schwederman will hand it off to Zizelman, and he's not going to go anywhere, maybe a yard, depending on the spot, but it will bring up a 4th down.
Yeah, a whole mess of Roughriders right there, including Fowler and Jason Taylor.
And at one point on the Western Buckeye League stats that they send out, half of St. Mary's defense was in the top 10 for tackles on the season.
Well, I think probably half of them just got credit for a tackle.
So 4th down and 2 from the 41. Needing to get to the 39-yard line.
Got 2 backs in the backfield this time.
Schwederman will hand it off. It's going to be Zizelman, and he's got enough for the 1st down, and for the first time tonight, the Bulldogs faithful are on their feet.
Yeah, running just kind of an ISO play, which, you know, with the advent of running a lot of running a lot of formations out of the pistol, you don't see quite as much, but in this time you did, and it was successful for him.
Hand off back to Zizelman. This time only about 2 or 3. And I think one thing that's maybe not brought up much, because it's been kind of overshadowing the Roughriders all season, the final year here at Skip Bachman, meaning this is the final Battle of Grand Lake played on this field.
Yeah, you know it is, and you know there's going to be a lot of good memories here, and there's you know, from some opposing people, you know, some people that would be glad to move on to somewhere else.
Schwederman dealing with a 2nd down. We'll throw it out to Chase Stevens, but how about that? It was the junior Carson Fishbach that sniffed that one out right from the jump.
And kind of our first official pass, but a very conservative one, as we're just a little quick screen to throw it out there, try to escape the pressure on the inside, and that's going to be the last play of the first quarter.
So at the end of one, St. Mary's on top, 14-0 over the green and white.
Sometimes you just don't want to get out of your car. That's why TSC has made it easy for you to pay your bill. We have drive-up payment drop boxes at our St. Mary's and Wapakoneta offices. Just pull in, drive around, and drop off your payment. Just one more convenience to show you how much we appreciate you.
TSC, give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Switched ends of the field, but it's still raining outside. 14-0, St. Mary's on top. A 3rd down and 9 for the Bulldogs. Ball to 35. Schwieterman looking to throw, now in trouble, having to scramble out of it. Roughriders all around him, and Schwieterman is swallowed up.
It looks like there's a flag down, but Blake Knorr is who we're going to give credit for that sack.
And it's going to be a hold against the Bulldogs.
It'll be interesting to see if they take this, though. You do have some lost yardage, and that would bring up a 4th down, or you can move them back 10 yards and repeat 3rd down, which normally you would definitely decline this and bring up the 4th down, but sometimes you might be able to do something with field position in this situation and kind of not really expect them to be able to do a whole lot passing the ball given the weather.
It's like that's exactly what they're going to do, is back up the Bulldogs and replay 3rd down from the 50-yard line. They need to get to about the 25.
Yeah, so they're going to call it about a 3rd and 24 on the scoreboard. So, at this point, a couple things you could do. You could try to just to run the ball, see what happens, or, to me, I'd consider throwing it downfield and just kind of see what happens. If it gets intercepted, it's as good as a punt.
Well, Schwieterman's going to be with an empty backfield, trips to his right. He'll roll out to the right, now cuts it back into the middle, is going to keep it himself. Brett Schwieterman using his feet, and he's going to be stood up at the 35-yard line, which is close to the original line of scrimmage, 10 yards short of the 1st down.
Yeah, pretty good gain. However, they needed a lot. But the bad thing about that is you're still kind of in no man's land. You're close enough now to probably have a legitimate chance of going for it on 4th down, and I think that's what Brennan Bader is going to opt to do.
So Schwieterman, what he can come up with.
Got an isolation over on this side.
They're going to look to the right as they throw it out, and it's intercepted. Eddie Fowler the other way. Eddie Fowler looking to go to the house. He's got Schwieterman to beat. Schwieterman diving for his ankles. Fowler into the end zone. Pick 6 for the Roughriders.
And another interception for this Rough Rider team. They're 18th on the year, which is incredible. Eddie Fowler gets into the house on the interception, which looks like it was tipped. Didn't get the number on who tipped it. But again, kind of a look what I found, and he thought Schwieterman might be able to get him, but Fowler had just enough speed to be able to get there, and that is a linebacker's dream right there.
Gabe Vanderveer will come on to try to make it 21, and it's through the uprights and good. St. Mary's doing it on both ends of the football. They lead it 21-0.
Have you heard about TSC's referral program? Refer your friends and family, and you both get a credit matching the services they chose. That's right, we'll credit your invoice. There's no limit to the number of friends you can refer. So come back to your local hometown provider and bring your friends and family with you. We'll reward you both.
TSC. Give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Call TSC.
Owen Kitchen and Bath Showroom has been family owned and operated since 1990. We can help you from start to finish with your entire project. Let one of our professional designers put the final touches on your project. Owen Kitchen and Bath now has 2 showrooms to better serve you in Wapakoneta and Lima. Owen Kitchen and Bath, cabinetry that will take your breath away at prices that won't.
Eddie Fowler, 67 yards on the pick 6 to make it 21-0 in favor of the Roughriders on a wet and rainy night here in the Battle of Grand Lake. And Vanderveer will kick this deep to Stevens, who fields it at the 5-yard line. Chase Stevens trying to go up the sideline, and he's going to be dropped just shy of the 25.
Well, we were able to kind of tell from the truck on the tip. Defensive linemen are coached when they get near the quarterback to get their hands up when they think he's going to pass, because good things can happen. In this case, you can see right there, Blake Knorr with his hands up gets a big paw on that, slows it up, puts it up in the air enough for Eddie Fowler to be able to catch the ball and then go nearly 70 yards to the house.
Great job by our guys in the truck and our camera operators outside getting that.
So again, that derailed the most promising drive of the night so far for Celina. That had some good things going. They have hurt themselves on 2 drives via penalties.
And now the Bulldogs are going to have to burn their 3rd timeout as they had some personnel issues. 10:35 remaining here in the 2nd quarter. Nothing going right for Celina at the moment.
Stars and Stripes Graphics is your local screen printer located just east of the St. Mary's Memorial High School. Visit our showroom for all things Rough Rider, including jackets, sweatshirts, hats, sweatpants, ball caps, and more. We also carry items for New Knoxville Rangers and select collegiate gear for Ohio State and Michigan. Stars and Stripes Graphics, your local screen printer.
Strength is about so much more than the body. It's about being together, serving, sharing, and caring for those around us. It's about keeping score in the heart rather than on a scoreboard. Be a part of a community that builds more than your body. At the Wapakoneta Family YMCA.
Bulldogs talked it over. Looks like they've got the right personnel out there now. And they're facing a first down from the 24-yard line. As Schwederman's going to keep it on a QB draw up the middle, and he's not going to go very far as the St. Mary's Roughriders is able to push him back.
Yeah, that just kind of goes like a straight ISO play. This time, let the running back go up, and then the quarterback just kind of follows him up the hole. Different running back in there this time, though. Jackson Silliman, the sophomore.
Silliman, 6 foot, 185. They have him listed as a wide receiver, but he's been used heavily in the running game to back up Zizzleman.
Yeah, when they go 2 backs, usually he's the other guy back there with Zizzleman.
Schwederman will keep it, running the option, and he's not going to go down easily as he's still moving up to the 35, and it looks like he'll have enough for the first down.
Yeah, Braden Wiedenholder looked like he had him dead to rights right at the line of scrimmage, and Schwederman was able to evade him. So, a nice run, and that's going to be a first down for the Bulldogs.
So both teams trying to utilize their run game. St. Mary's successful in doing so to this point, but the Bulldogs trying to gain some momentum here.
And, that's a play, the option that usually gets kind of left away when you get in bad weather like this because, the ball becomes a little bit more susceptible to be put on the ground. But that's a big part of the success that, Celina can have offensively.
Schwederman's going to keep it again, and he's going to get across the 40, bringing up a second down and manageable.
Kind of just a little thing to point out there. The referee's doing a good job trying to get a fresh, dry ball out there as often as they can.
We talked about it a little bit last week, Schwederman and his ability to be explosive and break big plays. That was one of your keys to the game for the Bulldogs, is make big plays. He was held in check against the #1 defense in the Western Buckeye League in Walpock last week. He's been able to show glimpses of what he can do so far in this one. As he will hand it off to Silliman, and Silliman's going to be dropped at around the 45, which if that spot holds, it won't be enough for the first down.
But, once again, part of it might be a part of who they're playing. But you go back for 3 consecutive weeks against Elida, they scored 56. Against Bath, they scored 50. Against Ottawa Glandorf, they scored 42. Then, when they were 4-1, ranked at the top in terms of offense, then they ran into Defiance and only put up 14. They're shut out last week against Walpock, and, so far, they're still looking for their first points here against St. Mary's.
0 for 3 on third down conversions so far, and that's going to be the first one of the night for the Bulldogs.
So really the Bulldogs showing a little bit more success running the ball than they did last week versus Walpock. But obviously, that pick six is going to come back to bite them a little bit in terms of trying to have some success on offense.
Going to be another carry to Zizelman, and Celina's offense finding some momentum here.
So, just it's the negative play that's really hurt them. That first drive is the 5-yard penalty that kind of derailed a chance to have an early first down. And see Zizelman again.
Zizelman picking up the first down, moving the pile close to the 35.
Then they had the holding penalty that moved them back. That hurt them, and then the tip pass and pick six. But they've ball fairly well.
First down, Schwederman will hand it off to Zizelman again. And Zizelman will bring it up to the 30-yard line. So Celina over 100 yards rushing in this one.
And this Rough Rider defense only surrenders 112 yards a game rushing. So, Celina showing that they can, work their strength against the strength of the defense of the Riders.
Be the 9th play of the drive for the Bulldogs, and 19 carries for 106 yards officially. As they're going to hand this one off to Chase Stevens, and Stevens is going to pick up the first down.
Well, the one negative with scoring a defensive touchdown is this Rough Rider defense has been out there a lot of consecutive plays. That was the 9th or 10th play of this drive, plus that was a fairly long drive that led up to that. So they've been out there for nearly 20 straight plays.
The Bulldogs are going quick back to the line of scrimmage. Handed it back to Stevens. Chase Stevens lowering his shoulder and moving the pile forward. So Stevens, after a 15-yard rush his first time out, picking up more solid yardage, bringing up a second down.
So inside the 10-yard line, obviously the deepest penetration of the night so far for the Bulldogs.
Schwederman, and that's a broken play as he wasn't sure who to hand it off to. I don't think his backs knew what was going on, and he's going to be dropped for a loss.
Well, there's some confusion. It looks like Stevens was supposed to be the one that was expecting to get the handoff, or at least the look of the handoff, and Schwederman went to the right. Whether it was supposed to go to the right and is called differently or not, we don't know. But when you're kind of struggling a little bit and playing against the number 1 team in the state, you can't have mental errors in the execution.
So 3rd down and 3, ball at the 9-yard line. Best opportunity of the night for the Bulldogs to get on the board. And Schwederman will hand it off, and going nowhere this Celina offense will have to deal with a 4th down.
Yeah, Jason Taylor shot in with some penetration, able to get into the feet right away to upend it, and that's going to 4th down.
The offense will stay out on the field, the ball at the 10-yard line, needing 4 yards for the first. Disselman next to Schwederman, but he's going to pitch it off to Jordan Song, who's trying to get to the outside, and St. Mary's defense was ready for it.
Yeah, not fooled at all. You know, going east and west on a 4th and 4, Braden Dunlap able to shoot in. You would expect the Roughriders defensively on the 4th down to be very, very aggressive because just the conditions, you know, Celina not looking like they want to ball. They were going to definitely sell out for the run, and were able to come up with a 4th down stop.
And I'll say this, Paul, when it's a 4th and short, I'm not always the biggest fan of trying to go sideways when you could just go right up the middle, especially in this field condition. Sean Perry is going to break a nice run, bringing it up to the 35.
But once again, you know, it's not so much to me about that 4th down play. It was the 2nd down play where what they have a 2nd and about 2, and they just had miscommunication and didn't execute a play after they had moved the ball very well, and now a self-inflicted negative play derails your entire drive.
19 yards, and the ball is loose on the pitch. Luckily, Braden Dunlap able to jump right back on it. And as you talked about, Celina running the option just a few plays back, there's the danger of pitching the ball in these conditions.
Yeah, you know, it's really slick out there, and, you know, coaches tend to get a little bit more conservative, and rightly so, in these type of conditions. And the less the ball can kind of be out and about is probably the better.
A loss of 5. As this one's going to go up the middle to Sean Perry, and Perry's going to gain maybe 2.
Yeah, nice job there by Gavin Nash. Big 270-pound junior met him right in the hole. And this presents the first 3rd and long we've seen of the game for the Roughriders.
A 21-point deficit. We talked about this being the final game between these two here at Skip Bachman, as St. Mary's is 1 for 1 on 3rd down conversions. But
you know what's remarkable about that is there's, you know, 3:40 left in the 2nd quarter. This is only their 2nd 3rd down.
And this is going to be a throw from Dunlap as he rolls out to his right, but instead decides to keep it, and it's going to bring up a 4th down with the punting unit coming out onto the field.
Yeah, and if my numbers are right, I don't believe St. Mary's has punted in the last 2 weeks.
I wouldn't doubt it. You look at a 63-13 victory 2 weeks ago against Elida, 60-14 over Bath last week. Sean Perry will be on to kick it deep for the Rough. 3:31 remaining here in the 2nd quarter. Celina looking for something, a good return could help them out. They get the ball to start the 2nd half. And it's Perry with a high boot. It's going to be fielded at the 30-yard line. It's a fair catch by Brandon Stogler.
Yeah, I'm not sure it was a fair catch, but you know, he kind of slipped and his knee went down, because I think he had every intention of running. So, but you do have the Celina defense coming through and getting a stop, which has been few and far between for that Rider offense, as we talked about. And Celina, you know, able to, you know, withstand, you know, another 4th down stop themselves. They lost a lot of field position here, but they've shown that as long as they're not hurting themselves, they've been able to move the ball here against the Rough Rider defense.
It always seems like, though, this Rough Rider defense comes up with the big plays at the right moments. After the 31-yard boot, option play is going to be pitched out to Chase Stevens. Stevens running towards the sideline, and he's going to be pushed out shy of the 40.
And you see some people kind of laboring with the conditions. Well, Dunlap is not one of them. No. You know, he was closing in on Stevens really well, and they're like, yeah, he's not worried about, you know, the muddy conditions at all.
2nd down and 5. Ball 37. Schwederman will hand it off to Stevens. And this time, defense not giving them much. Bring up a third down and manageable for the Bulldogs, and they do not want to go 3 and out and give the ball back to the Roughriders with this much time left.
Now they're 1 for 5 so far on third down conversions and have had even less success on fourth down.
1 for 3 in that category. Schwederman will hand it off to Kyle Zizelman, and Zizelman picks up the second first down on a third down conversion for the Bulldogs tonight.
So now the clock does become a little bit of a concern, only because they have no timeouts left. So you got 2.5 minutes left, and you're not really in a position where you're looking to pass the ball at all. So, I mean, you want to score, obviously, but, you know, you can't take your time totally because you're going to run out of time.
Eddie Fowler with a nice job standing up Brett Schwederman until the cavalry arrive. Second down.
And overall, if you look at statistics, everything is pretty even because right now Celina's only 4 total yards behind the Roughriders at 140 to 136. Almost everything on the ground.
An incomplete pass as Schwederman was looking for the senior, Austin Oakley.
As you can see the rushing yards there listed for you.
Down and 7, ball at midfield. The Bulldogs look to the sideline for the play call. Schwederman will hand it off to Chase Stevens, and Stevens is going to be shy of the first down.
It's going to be shy, but you know, this might be close enough where they might go for this though.
Looks like it. As they go quickly back to the line of scrimmage. They need 2 yards. They're going to hand it off to Zizelman, and I don't know if he got it.
It's going to be close.
He tried to stick the ball out there. It'll depend on the spot. And
I mean, he hit that hole as hard as he can, and I don't think the Bulldogs like their spot.
Yeah, that looks well short. And be a turnover on down. St. Mary's will get it back with 1:39 remaining here in the first half.
And we'll watch a replay, see if we can get a good look at this. Hits it hard, gets stacked right away, and he didn't gain a whole lot. And that was Perry come running in to be able to make that play. If he doesn't come flying, that is a first down.
Thank you. So the Roughriders have about 1.5 minutes to drive down the field as Dunlap is going to move to the right side with Perry in front of him, trying to get to midfield, and he will be tackled just shy of it.
And over the years, it is amazing how efficient the Roughriders usually are at the end of the second quarter, going into halftime and finding a way to be able to come up with something. That being said, this is usually a time where Doug Fry goes to his bag of tricks, but given the weather situation, I'm not sure if we'll see that tonight.
Dunlap rolls out to his left this time. Looking to throw, he's got Sean Perry, and Perry making the catch, being pushed out at 35.
In a different universe, I think Braden Dunlap could be a very effective quarterback, picking people apart, because he's pretty athletic, and he's got some guys between Howell and Perry that he could get the ball to. So the Roughriders' first completed pass, a 17-yard one connection between Dunlap to Perry.
Dunlap rolling out to his right as he's going to throw to the opposite end to Ty Howell. Howell with the catch, and he's just going to walk into the end zone for the score.
Yeah, running the wheel route out of the backfield that time. Tremendous call. And Doug Fry showing once again they're going to be very efficient at the end of the first half. And Howell had that big game a couple weeks ago against Kenton. That is his second receiving touchdown of the year. And give Dunlap his 6th touchdown pass of the year.
Howell on to attempt, Vanderveer on to attempt the PAT after the Howell score. 28-0. St. Mary's on top.
At Minster Bank, we understand that life can get hectic. That's why when it comes to your banking, we offer the services that make your life simpler with tools like person-to-person payments, Pop Money, mobile and online banking, and bill pay. But most of all, Minster Bank is a supportive member of your community with personal relationships and customer service that reach outside of our branches. Minster Bank, helping people achieve financial success.
IC Signs designs, creates, and installs custom eye-catching signs. We use state-of-the-art technology to produce indoor and outdoor signs, LED message boards, and vehicle wraps. We can also help you with LED light conversion, sign refurbishing, custom t-shirts, promotional items, and your print needs. Whether you know what you want or have no idea, trust the experience of IC Signs. Call IC Signs at 419-738-6640.
Why you don't give the Roughriders ball with over a minute left before halftime. It only took them 44 seconds, 3 plays, 56 yards, and Ty Howell able to catch the wheel route from Dunlap, 35 yards to the house, making it 28-0, and Vanderveer will boot this one into the end zone.
And I do have a correction on that. That's Braden Dunlap's 9th touchdown pass of the season. And incredibly for the Roughriders, their 11th touchdown pass versus 0 interceptions. And that's something that a coach loves to see.
Yeah, their turnover ratio after that Eddie Fowler pick 6, now a +20, which, as you talked about, is absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, you don't see that kind of a differential. I mean, that's just incredibly high.
There's a reason that many people around this area are calling this one of the better St. Mary's teams in quite some time.
No, St. Mary's a virtual lock for the playoffs, and we can talk more about that in the second half. But you know, they've got a kind of a favorable region where they could make a run.
Schwederman come out in the shotgun, and he's looking to throw, looking for Oakley, and it was deflected. And this time Eddie Fowler wasn't able to find it and go the opposite way.
So St. Mary's kind of finds its passing game a little bit on that last drive. Celina still trying to find theirs. You know, they're kind of 1 for 4 for -2 yards so far, is another deflection, as we mentioned. Great coaching and getting their, which is really for the Roughriders.
I think, Paul, if we're being honest with ourselves, after the Week 1 35-7 victory over Sydney, there was a lot of question marks about this team, and are they good enough, as Schwederman is going to keep it himself up to the 30, tried to cut back inside and is pushed out of bounds. But after that Week 1 game, it was a win, and then they bounced back and knocked off OG in the second week 49-6. They really have just gone on a tear here.
Yeah, you know, and the only time they've really been threatened was that Shawnee game, which is a little bit of an outlier, you know, because Shawnee's only 2-5. But, you know, they were a 2-point conversion, and really that's inches away from potentially having a major upset. But besides that, the Roughriders have been dominant.
And Stevens able to catch this one. Stevens still moving, but he
Fumble.
loses the football, and it's jumped on by Sean Perry, and St. Mary's will get it back with 34 seconds left in the first half.
So that's got to be a killer. It's just tremendous catch at his shoelaces. As we see the replay coming up here, hopefully we see that catch initially. I mean, that's right off the ground. An incredible job there by Stevens, but then as he went down, ball just spits out, and Perry jumps on it, and the Roughriders might not be done yet.
At the beginning of that play, if you're a Celina fan, you're saying he caught it, he caught it. At the end of it, you're saying, no, he dropped it. As Dunlap looking to throw, but Dunlap's going to be thrown down himself.
So Corey Fortcamp, the junior, with the sack on that, and
be a timeout taken by the Roughriders, 27 seconds remaining. They want another 6 points up on the board before we go to the half.
Well, you know, I think there's a lot of people out there that if they could get over the magic number 30, might be pretty happy about that given the weather conditions, especially I think our camera guys.
Yeah, they've put in a lot of great work tonight, still getting great footage for us. Appreciate everything they do. We say that in the somewhat warmth of the press box and the guys in the truck as well. So a second down out of the timeout. Dunlap was compromised, trying to go deep.
And we don't always know when people are watching this, but I just want to point out 2 days ago, people were wearing shorts as it was in the 80s.
Dunlap looking to throw again. Now he's going to bring it down and carry it up to midfield, looking to get out of bounds, and he does. As he's tackled out close to the bench, Jordan Song brought him down.
Yeah, no harm in that. Just kind of the conditions kind of caused that. But Dunlap was looking for the screen on the right-hand side, and it was well covered by the Bulldogs. So he improvised, was able to scramble out to the left-hand side to get something out of nothing, as well as stop the clock with 17.4 left. But because of the sack earlier, that really just kind of brought you back to the regular initial line of scrimmage.
Perry will come in motion. Dunlap now passing it back out to Fishbach, and Carson Fishbach with blockers in front of him has the first down, still moving down to the 30-yard line, and the clock will stop with 7 seconds.
I'll tell you, a well-designed play that time. They kind of ran him, and I think it was Perry kind of in crossing motion in the backfield, and Fishbach got lost in the shuffle and had a screen set up. They actually had 3 blockers set up only on one Bulldog. It's almost probably disappointing they only got that much yardage.
Coach Fry will come out to talk to his team, and if you're wondering about, well, Gabe Vanderveer, does he have the leg? He has the leg, but he's only 1 of 3 on field goal attempts on the year, and that one make was a 39-yarder.
Yeah, he had 2 misses in that Shawnee game, including one that probably would have put the game away for. Still, you'd like to give someone with that big of a leg another opportunity. However, this would be testing the range, especially in these field conditions. However, the wind is at his back, and on kickoffs, he's been kicking it pretty far this direction.
And on his only missed PAT of the year, there was a bad snap in the Bath game a week ago. Dunlap, trouble with the snap himself. Looking deep for Perry. Perry couldn't adjust to make the catch, but the clock stops with about a 1.5 seconds remaining on it.
So, well, if they're going to put the field goal team out here, this will be about a 48-yarder, which would be remarkable, especially given the field conditions.
Well, again, Vanderveer has the leg. Extremely accomplished kicker for this program.
But far from ideal conditions.
Correct. So the 5'11 senior. And it looks like it'll be Carter Ballweg to hold it for him. Puts it down. Vanderveer puts his leg into it. It's got the distance, but oh man, just short. And just it was just short, but man, that looked like it could have been good. So that's the end of the first half. St. Mary's, even with the missed field goal, they're still rolling in this one. 28-0 over their rivals.
You're on the go and don't have time for cords to be tying you down. That's why TSC created the Cord Cutter Bundle. You get big savings for bundling internet and cable, and there's no phone requirement. Choose from 20 megabyte, 50 megabyte, or 100 megabyte speeds. No phone, minimal TV, and all lightning fast internet. Ask about the Cord Cutter Bundles and come home to TSC.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Hello, Frost Roofing.
Frost Roofing holds the same core values our company was founded upon nearly 9 decades ago. We proudly provide quality craftsmanship and top-notch service to each client we serve. We're licensed by several major roofing manufacturers to give you the right recommendations at the best value for your investment. With state-of-the-art equipment, cutting-edge technology, and our honest way of doing business, Frost Roofing is our area's preferred commercial roofing experts. To learn more, visit frost-roofing.com or call 419-739-ROOF.
Halftime here at the Battle of Grand Lake St. Mary's, and it's been all Roughriders to this point. They lead 28-0 with a pair of scores in the first quarter and a pair of scores in the second quarter. And let's show you how they scored those, as it started off with a 9-play, 60-yard drive, 3 minutes and 8 seconds, capped off by a 4-yard run from Ty Schlosser, making it 7-0. Dunlap gets in on the fun, making it 14-0 on a 1-yard keeper. Then Eddie Fowler does it on defense. Blake Kenor with the tip, Fowler with the pick six. 21-0 in the second quarter. St. Mary's on top, and then they go to the wheel route. Ty Howell left wide open for 35 yards. And that's how the Rough Riders lead it, 28-0 here at Skip Bachman. The field conditions, the weather conditions outside, not ideal, but the Rough Riders making the best of a bad situation, as it's time for one of our favorite segments here on Game Face Ohio. We step into Sadler Schoolhouse.
And we're going to look at a successful play, but probably a play that could have went a little bit bigger. It's well designed. What they're going to do is they're going to run a play fake here to Sean Perry and get the entire defense looking at him this way. But then Carson Fischbach is going to come over this way. He's going to go ahead and pretend to be able to get a little chip block there on Colin Williams as you can go ahead and start to run this. As you can see, the little crossing action gets a little bit of a fake chip, and now that sets up the screen perfectly. Go ahead and freeze it right here. Now you can see there are 3 Rough Rider defenders, only 1 defender there for Celina that can affect it immediately, and then 2 that are about 20 yards away to be able to do anything. Now go ahead and run this and freeze right there. Now what Fischbach does is probably not what he's been coached to do. You're coached to go off the butt of your defender. And right now his butt is showing to the sideline. Fischbach cut this to the side, and now he's got blockers right up there, and you're going to see they're going to get to that, but instead he cuts to the inside and go ahead and run it, and Logan Folenkamp is able to come off that block of Brian Ward and to be able to get in to slow him down and to make the play. You know, it's very possible if he went to the outside, he might have been able to go all the way to the house.
Rough Riders had to try and settle for a field goal, and didn't come to fruition. As we take a look at the first half stats that AJ has been keeping for us.
And in the background we can see the Celina band playing in the rain. And there we go. You know, considering the score, you know, the stats are kind of lying a little bit because it's fairly even in terms of total yardage, although the Rough Riders with the advantage. You know, a big turnover for Celina. You know, when you get a pick six, you know, that's going to translate directly into points for the other team. And, you know, you get the ball back and able to kind of get some yardage that way. Anyway, looking at individual statistics for Celina, Zisselman leading the way with 63 yards on 15 carries. Schwederman with 60 yards on 9 carries. Stevens has 2 catches for 16 yards. For St. Mary's, Perry leading the way with 97 yards on 11 carries. He does not have a touchdown, however. Schlosser does. He was featured a lot early on in the first quarter. Haven't really seen him a lot since then. And surprisingly for the Rough Riders, only two running backs have carried the ball with Perry and Schlosser. Dunlap is 3 for 4 passing for 69 yards and a touchdown.
And Paul, we're kind of in the same situation that we were last week. We're asking ourselves, what is head coach Brennan Bader telling his Bulldogs in the locker room down 28-0 right now?
Well, you know, they got to find something. You know, they were shut out last week 35-0. And, you know, this is a rivalry game. You know, you expect the best out of your team. And while they've shown that they can, you know, put some plays together, they have yet to be able to finish a drive. So, you know, they need to kind of make sure that they don't hurt themselves by turning the ball over or having any type of penalties. And in the one case, just not executing the play where they're on the wrong page. But, you know, finishing his method.
Week 8 of TSC Touchdown Friday. It's been all Rough Riders to this point. They lead it 28-0 in the final game of Grand Lake St. Mary's played here at the Skip. Back with the third quarter after this.
sometimes you just don't want to get out of your car. That's why TSC has made it easy for you to pay your bill. We have drive-up payment drop boxes at our St. Mary's and Wapakoneta offices. Just pull in, drive around, and drop off your payment. Just one more convenience to show you how much we appreciate you.
TSC, give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
About to get the third quarter of action underway here. Battle of Grand Lake St. Mary's. Roughriders 28, Celina with a bagel on the scoreboard. Roughriders have been dominating the entire first half of play, scoring on both ends of the football. 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, downs in the second, including a pick 6 from Eddie Fowler, 67 yards, and really a momentum killer as the Bulldogs were on a nice drive before that. And we've seen a lot of Gabe Vanderveer, and we'll continue to see the senior as he's back on to start the third quarter.
And kind of an odd little statistic, every WBL game is a shutout. One of the teams has scored and the other team has not. So this one, no different.
Vanderveer from the 40 to chase Stevens. He'll field at the 15-yard line. Stevens following his blockers up to the 30. And Stevens will be dropped just across the 30-yard line, where his offense will take back over. And they're looking for some momentum after having 2 very promising drives in the first half, one ending with the pick 6 that we were talking about, the other ending on the goal line as they were going for it, and they did not get the yardage necessary.
Yeah, and I want to kind of point out with as much as kind of the rain has kind of been prevalent, the field's kind of really held up. You know, you don't see a lot of muddy spots. You know, you don't see, the white uniforms of Celina. I mean, you see some mud, but it's not, what we saw last week.
Yeah, last week a few puddles on the sideline in the Celina Walpaw game. Schwederman with an empty set will send Zizelman in motion, and he'll fake the handoff. Schwederman stumbles, and after he regains his footing, he's knocked down at the 35.
Yeah, Knorr with the tackle. He's called his name a couple times, and they might have put the jinx on him. Praising kind of the field conditions, and first play, Schwederman tries to do a hard cut and kind of loses his momentum.
Knorr, a big reason for the Eddie Fowler pick 6 in the second quarter as he got his hands up and deflected the pass. Second down and 6 at the ball, officially at the 36-yard line. Schwederman this time will hand it off to Zizelman, and Zizelman's going to be helped out of bounds by Eddie Fowler.
Yeah, not only did he score the touchdown on the pick 6, he's also the leading tackler for this Rough Rider defense, and really held his discipline and be able to make the play and push him out of bounds.
Not only the leading tackler for the Rough Riders, the leading tackler in the Western Buckeye League, Eddie Fowler. 5'11" senior. Find him at the linebacker position. It's third down and 5. Schwederman will keep it this time as a host of Rough Riders get in to drop him at the 40, and it'll bring up a 4th down and about 2.
And again, in normal circumstances, this is a punt. It looks like they are going to put the punt team out there. I was going to speculate that, they might consider, going for it just because, what he got to lose at this point. But it does look like they're doing the traditional, right percentage play here.
Austin Cotterman averaging about 35 yards per punt this year. His first one of the game was 34. Second one, as Trey Fisher almost gets in there, is going to bounce down to the 30, continue to roll close to the 25, and that's where Braden Dunlap and his offense will start their first drive of the second half.
And Cotterman actually had a little Charlie Brown action right there. He went on his backside after that kick.
So right on Cotterman's average for the season, 35 yards down to the 25, and as the weather continues to be not the greatest, we've lost some fans here in the second half. As Perry will get the handoff, going towards his own sideline, and Perry's going to pick up solid yardage.
Yeah, between the combination of the weather and the score, you know, we did lose some people, including, you know, I kind of mentioned, you know, the Celina had a big student section, and they are down to just a handful of them.
Well, it's a 28-point lead here in the second half. Any score by St. Mary's will result in a running clock. So that handoff is a first down for the Roughriders. Get a look at those who have stayed, brave the weather.
Yep, and you can see the rain coming down too, so not the most enjoyable conditions to watch a football game.
He's going to go to Ty Howell. He's got blockers in front. Howell trying to get to the outside, and he's going to fall down after a gain of maybe 3.
So we're going to take a look at this. There's some series history notes. Again, the 100th meeting of these two. They split the last 8 meetings, but the Roughriders kind of prior to that had kind of dominated. They won 11 in a row from 99 to 09, and they jumped out really early in the series by winning the first 12 meetings between the two schools.
Sean Perry going to get the carry up his own sideline. Perry still moving his feet, and he's going to be ankle tackled at around the 35. Sean Perry, even with the 28-point lead and the poor conditions outside, still playing his game.
Yeah, Perry over 100 yards now, had a touchdown saving tackle that prevented him from getting in the end zone. And you know, that's kind of the one thing that's just kind of different. As big of a playmaker as he is running the ball, you know, he's only got 7 touchdowns rushing.
28-yard pickup for Sean Perry. This time they go to Ty Schlosser, and Schlosser's going to pick up the first down.
Yeah, I believe that's the first time we really called his number since early in the first quarter.
First down from the 34-yard line. Clock running down to 8.5 remaining here in the third quarter. It's going to go to Howell again. Howell trying to get to the outside, cutting back in. Ty Howell with blockers, finds a hole. Howell still on his feet, stretching for the end zone, and he's going to be stopped just at the 1-yard line, just short of 6.
What an effort there by Ty Howell. Looks like he should have been kind of corralled down a lot earlier, and he's able to just kind of keep his feet moving and drive through the contact and be able to get all the way to the end zone. A 20-yard gain.
Well, last time they were in this area, Braden Dunlap, QB keeper, 1 yard for the score. Braden Dunlap again, QB keeper, 1 yard, and he's in for the score. Another 6 points onto the St. Mary's tally, and we're into a running clock.
And I believe our camera guys are rightly celebrating going to the running clock.
They've braved the weather, and they can't go home. Well, I shouldn't say that. They can. They choose not to. As Vanderveer will come on to try to make it 35-0. And Vanderveer's kick right through the uprights. It's been all St. Mary's in this rivalry. They're cruising over the Bulldogs.
Have you heard about TSC's referral program? Refer your friends and family, and you both get a credit matching the services they chose. That's right, we'll credit your invoice. There's no limit to the number of friends you can refer. So come back to your local hometown provider and bring your friends and family with you. We'll reward you both.
TSC, give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Owen Kitchen and Bath Showroom has been family owned and operated since 1990. We can help you from start to finish with your entire project. Let one of our professional designers put the final touches on your project. Owen Kitchen and Bath now has 2 showrooms to better serve you in Wapakoneta and Lima. Owen Kitchen and Bath, cabinetry that will take your breath away at prices that won't.
7 plays, 75 yards, 2 minutes and 16 seconds. And Brayton Dunlap goes in for his second score of the night from 2 yards out to make it 35-0. And Paul, we've got a running clock on our hands.
We do, and we love to call competitive games, so we don't necessarily always like to see this, but on a night like tonight, this might be for the best.
Stevens trying to cut it back to the outside, and St. Mary's down there to corral him just before the 20-yard line. So the Celina offense will trot back out onto the field, and they're just looking for any signs of life here, down by 35.
So, well, we're going to take a look at the Finkelmeyer Insurance trivia question, one of my favorite parts.
I know it is.
AJ, you ready? All right, when was the last year that St. Mary's and Celina did not play each other in football? So this is their 100th meeting, but they have not been playing for 100 years. There's been some years where they've played twice. When's the last year they didn't play each other?
See, and I was looking at the series history. It said 23 was the first meeting, correct? So sometime after that, as Schwederman is going to keep it up the middle. As AJ gives his answer of 1950, just to be different, I'm going to say 60, I don't know, 62, 1962. That's my guess.
Okay.
And that's just throwing a number out there and hoping it sticks. 2nd and 6, ball at the 23, and they're throwing it to Chase Stevens. Stevens going backwards before he finds his way up the field, and he's going to gain maybe one.
That's a great one-hand catch. Oh, let's go ahead and take a look at our Finkelmeyer Insurance Agency trivia question answer. Last year they did not play was 1922.
See, okay.
So you were paying attention.
I was paying attention. You threw me off. You threw me off. I knew it was 23 when they started playing. I should have just said 22.
So they have played every year since they first started playing for the first times in 1923. And then as mentioned, when they started playing in the WBL in 1937, they had previously been in the Midwestern League together. And here's some fun facts, how life was different back in 1922, the last time these two didn't play. Did you know that Betty White and Judy Garland were born the same year in 1922?
Who?
Yankees. I was going to ask if you knew who Judy Garland was. Here's one of my favorite ones that was on there, though. I don't know if you guys can bring that back up. The price of bread, a loaf of bread was 8 cents, I believe. But here's the biggest thing about that. Sliced bread was not yet invented the last time these two teams met.
Oh, man. I love it.
The NFL was 2 years old. Yankee Stadium was being built. They were going to be, there's the last year in the Polo Grounds. The Cleveland Indians were 2 years removed from being world champions. The Roaring 20s, Gatsby at his prime.
You came prepared for this trivia question. Man, you got to love it. As Brett Schwederman and his offense having some trouble moving the football. AJ's still over here not liking the question. I like the question. I just didn't like how you led us astray. Saying in 23 they started playing, but
there was normally I send out the information except for the trivia question. I had to send the series history out separately so you didn't see it because I thought that might tip it.
Yeah.
But you paid attention to it this time, so I was like, well, he's probably going to figure it out. At least put it in the 20s, maybe.
I should have just, like when they do on The Price is Right, $1. I should have said 22. That's what I should have said. Man. They're down in 7, ball to 34.
I do want to back up, though. Do you know who Judy Garland is?
I know who Betty White is. I don't know. Okay, Dorothy?
Yeah, it's Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
Sure. Brett Schwederman's going to be stopped short of the first down.
AJ just said who's the daughter. I believe it's Liza Minnelli. And
I know who that is. I know who that is. Arrested Development. It's a good show.
So, but yes, Betty White's still around.
Yeah.
Very successful. Judy Garland, I think most people would have thought she'd been older. She's actually a few months younger than Betty White.
I've heard the name. I just couldn't, before you said Wizard of Oz, I had no idea. So 4th down and 2, ball to 39. As Schwederman's going to keep it himself, and Schwederman's going to lose yardage, and St. Mary's will take over on downs.
Yeah, it's going to be the third time that they've been stopped on the fourth down. The Rough Riders going to get tremendous field position. And, you know, I can't always say that we have a whole lot of control here, but if any of you guys ever see Eli Alvarez in public, if you want to give him a copy of The Wizard of Oz, let him do a little bit of a little research here.
I've seen The Wizard of Oz. It's not that. By the way, it gave me nightmares when I was a kid.
The Wicked Witch of the West was a little intimidating when you were little. I agree.
Ty Howe breaking tackles. Talk about West. Ty Howe all the way to the end zone. 6 points added on to the score.
And, you know, we were a little distracted there, but Ty Howe was not, as he just missed a touchdown on the previous drive. This time he would not be denied, as Stevens couldn't get him down around the 20-yard line, and he puts it in once again for the Rough Riders as they now crack the 40-point barrier.
Vanderveer on to attempt the extra point, and it's good. 42-0, St. Mary's.
Stars and Stripes Graphics is your local screen printer located just east of the St. Mary's Memorial High School. Visit our showroom for all things Rough Rider, including jackets, sweatshirts, hats, sweatpants, ball caps, and more. We also carry items for New Knoxville Rangers and select collegiate gear for Ohio State and Michigan. Stars and Stripes Graphics, your local screen printer.
Strength is about so much more than the body. It's about being together, serving, sharing, and caring for those around us. It's about keeping score in the heart rather than on a scoreboard. Be a part of a community that builds more than your body. At the Wapakoneta Family YMCA.
We came for a Paul Sadler history lesson, and a football game broke out. 42-0, all St. Mary's. 3:32 remaining here in the third quarter, as that touchdown from Ty Howe took one play, and 38 yards later, he was in for the score, as Chase Stevens will bring the ball up to the 30-yard line. Eli Alvarez, Paul Sadler, here with you on this wet and rainy night from St. Mary's Skip Bachman Stadium, and you know, I think it's not fitting that this is the final game that these two teams will play on this field, a 42-0 blowout at the moment. But there has been some great games here at the Skip between these two. And actually the last time Celina picked up a victory here in St. Mary's back in 2012, 47-7 the Bulldogs rolled in that one.
Yeah, so, I mean, they played so many times, and 2 years before that was probably a very memorable one, where that game went overtime and the point, giving the Bulldogs a victory, 26-25 here.
Silliman will carry this one, and Jackson Silliman will pick up 4 or 5. So our brave camera operators in this one getting the shots for you, and we're in here just trying to pass the time with 2:32 remaining in the third quarter, and it seems like it's been like that most of the year for the Rough Riders. They've had quite a few running clocks put up in ball games, and you talked about it. It was week 4 when we were in Shawnee that the Indians almost stunned the Rough Riders, but a failed 2-point attempt at the end of the ball game from Johnny Caprella and his offense gave the Rough Riders a 27-26 victory. As Schwederman will hand this one off up the middle on 3rd down, and depending on the spot, we'll see if Zisselman has enough for the first. And they're going to say 4th down.
And as long as they keep their footing, you know, you would like Celina's chances for going for this and picking it up. You see some of the tracker backers and enjoying one of the last couple games here. They're scheduled to host Walpaw Canetta here in 2 weeks as the last regular season game here at Skip Bachman Stadium, as it looks like he is going to push ahead for the first down. Then I would say it's incredibly likely that there will be a playoff home game hosted here in the first round for St. Mary's.
You know, during the last break, Paul, you and I were talking about this Roughriders squad and their potential when they get into the postseason. They could make a run at this and be playing for quite some time.
You know, I really like their chances looking at their region of making a run. You know, last year they ran into a very talented and disciplined Shelby team that had a quarterback that was going to Minnesota. I don't think there's some high Division I talent quarterbacks that they're going to run into in their region. You know, the Clear Fork, I think, is supposed to be a pretty good team, and Kenton Van Wert could definitely be in there as well. But I think they got a great chance to make some noise, and then statewide, you take your chances with the Steubenvilles and Clinton Massey teams that are out there, and but this Rough Rider team has looked fit the bill and looked great so far.
Yeah, the top 4 teams in the Western Buckeye League, St. Mary's, Walpaw, Kenton, and Van Wert, have a really good chance of making the playoffs this year, as the third quarter has come to an end, and it's been all Rough Riders. They lead it 42-0 here in Week 8. You're watching Game Face Ohio.
At Minster Bank, we understand that life can get hectic. That's why when it comes to your banking, we offer the services that make your life simpler, with tools like person-to-person payments, Pop Money, mobile and online banking, and bill pay. But most of all, Minster Bank is a supportive member of your community, with personal relationships and customer service that reach outside of our branches. Minster Bank, helping people achieve financial success.
IC Signs designs, creates, and installs custom eye-catching signs. We use state-of-the-art technology to produce indoor and outdoor signs, LED message boards, and vehicle wraps. We can also help you with LED light conversion, sign refurbishing, custom t-shirts, promotional items, and your print needs. Whether you know what you want or have no idea, trust the experience of IC Signs. Call IC Signs at 419-738-6640.
Fresh 12 minutes put on the clock, fourth quarter about to get underway. A running clock here in St. Mary's as the Rough Riders lead their rivals from Celina 42-0.
Yeah, and this brings up a couple things. They have a shutout going. St. Mary's has, we'll let this play run here with Schwederman.
Schwederman lowering his shoulder on 3rd down and 3, yes. And he's got enough for the first.
And Saul Miller with the tackle. So, they got a shutout going. St. Mary's has not shut out Celina since 2002, where they won 36-0 here at Skip Bachman Stadium. They have 40 points. When was the last time St. Mary's scored 40 or more against the Celina Bulldogs?
Last time, 40 or more. I'd say sometime in the early 2000s. It's not 1922.
The truck says 1920. They didn't play in 1922. I thought we were pretty clear on that.
If we learned anything from the trivia question, it's not 1922.
So, no, but you do have to go back a pretty long ways relatively. 1990 was the last time the Rough Riders put up 40 against this Bulldog team, where they won 40-20. That's right before they started their run of 3 state championships in 4 years.
Schwederman in trouble on 2nd down. He's going to be dropped for a loss.
And this 42 points is the most that's been scored in this rivalry against the Bulldogs since 1979. The 79 team put up 51 against the Bulldogs.
Did you guys get all that? Because I did. I'm just soaking in all of this right now. Unlike everybody else, all the rain that we've gotten in this one. 42-0. On third down, Kyle Zizelman will pick up the first down, and the Bulldogs, I'll tell you what, they have not stopped playing. Or excuse me, looking at the wrong stick. Fourth down. AJ just shakes his head. I get it.
I tell you what, AJ has stayed in this game as much as anybody.
Yes, he has.
Celina is 3 for 7 on fourth down conversions.
It's going to be Jackson Silliman that's going to get the carry, and he's trying to bounce it to the outside on fourth down, and he's going to be well short of the first down. Paying attention this time. Go back to St. Mary's on the turnover on down.
And that is the only time that the clock does stop, and then this running clock is on a change of possession. And then when they get the ball down and play, then they'll go ahead and run the clock again. So, and it looks like the Roughriders are going to have some substitutions in there. Carter Ballweg is going to be now the quarterback. We've seen him before. While he's not a JV player, obviously he leads the WBL in interceptions, and also usually plays some wide receiver with the offense. But he is the backup quarterback.
As Hunter Fraley, the 5'11 sophomore, will get the carry for about 8. Fraley, one of those players that Coach Fry looking to develop and take over after they lose Sean Perry next year.
And someone we haven't seen a whole lot tonight is Christian Triplett, and he's definitely had his moments running the ball.
Triplett, also a senior for the Roughriders, as this ball comes loose, and it's going to be Ethan Freewalt that's just going to have to jump on it.
So a major loss on the play. And we can see the replay. And, I mean, it was in his gut, and it just came spitting out. So usually you see on that, sometimes maybe it's, doesn't get there. But, the handoff was there that time. Just didn't stick.
8 minutes on the running clock. As we've got reverse going the other way. It's Celina defense was ready for.
And Braden Troglin on the little counter play, not fooled at all, is the Celina defense. And I believe Jackson Silliman with the tackle.
That was Dylan Troglin on the last time out, not Ethan Freewalt that jumped on the loose ball. So to bring up a fourth down, Sean Perry will come out to continue his duties as the punter. Perry, the nice punt. Gonna bounce it around the 40 and kind of sticks into the ground, takes a few bounces down to the 35, and that's where Schwederman and his offense will take back over with 7:18 remaining here in the fourth, trailing 42-0.
Yeah, when it rains, you usually don't get those big bounces that you might get on a drier field.
I thought you were going with the when it rains, it pours thing, which would definitely be true for how things have gone tonight for the Bulldogs. So Schwederman coming out in the shotgun as the clock winds down. He'll hand it off up the middle, looking to break a big play. Bulldogs doing just that up to the 45-yard line. And tough to see the jersey number.
Yeah, it's starting to get that time.
Zizelman.
Celina looks like they're going to drop their third straight game to drop them, to the 500 level at 4-4. And while maybe a few weeks ago they still had dreams about potentially getting competing for the WBL title and also the playoffs, those looks like those are going to go by the wayside. However, when you are especially a senior and you got 2 games left and you have a chance to maybe finish 500 or better by finishing strong those last couple games, there's still plenty to play for. And I'm sure Coach Bader is going to have, them kind of rallied and ready to play next week against, again, a very good Van Wert team. And then they finish up the season with another home game against Shawnee. So, we'll kind of see if they're able to kind of rally and kind of finish the season maybe kind of how like they started it.
And on the other end, if you're the Roughriders, you travel next week to take on a Defiance squad that has been almost sneaky good this year. 4-3 overall, 3-3 in the Western Buckeye League are the blue and white Bulldogs. And they've had some wins that kind of make you say, huh, like against this Celina team a few weeks back.
They have, and we're going to look at the standings right now, and the two teams that have the chance to control their own destiny, are these St. Mary's Roughriders and then the Walpock Redskins. With that one loss from Kenton earlier, they could still come in here and win their last couple games and win in Week 10 against St. Mary's and claim at least a share of the WBL title that way. Van Wert obviously would need some help. Kenton is surprisingly losing right now to Ottawa Glandorf, and that's going to severely impact their playoff chances as they kind of controlled their destiny almost with the schedule they had before them. But I think some injuries has kind of maybe disrailed that scoring machine that they had set up. But we kind of circled it at the beginning of the year, and as we have for the last couple years, that Week 10 matchup between the two Auglaize County rivals, Walpock and St. Mary's, looks to be just as big as ever, as that could be for the WBL title, whether it's outright or for sharing. However, it does look like both teams are going to be playoff bound, it would seem.
Brett Schwiedeman with the carry, bringing up a 2nd down and 6.
And while we've talked a little bit about playoffs, the one WBL team we haven't really mentioned that's got an excellent chance to make the playoffs is the Van Wert Cougars. The Keith Recker is doing a great job there in Cougarland. Has an excellent chance to be able to qualify for the Division IV playoffs in the same region as the St. Mary's Roughriders. And that would be their first appearance since the year 2000, where they went all the way to the state championship game. So, it's been a long drought for the Cougars, but that looks to be ending, and, they're kind of playing really good football at a great time. And, again, they're going to be the challenger for this Celina Bulldog team next week.
Schwiedeman will hand this off to Chase Stevens on 1st down. And you talk about that Cougar squad, they have, statistically speaking, one of the best quarterbacks in the Western Buckeye League in Nate Place, leads the WBL in rushing, and he's in the top 5 in throwing as well.
And he's a great athlete. We've seen him in the basketball court the last few years, and we weren't sure what they were at the beginning of the year. They had some tighter games, and even as we get to see a big sack.
Brett Schwiedeman swallowed up in the backfield. Lucas Walter, the 6-foot junior, gets in there.
You can see gets in there. A nice clean sack by Walter. But they start the season with Brian, and Brian's actually turned out to have a pretty good season themselves. So sometimes you don't know what kind of season they're going to have, but they have a chance to make the playoffs also. And then they kind of scuffed around just a little bit, and now all of a sudden they're starting to put it on people pretty good.
This play going nowhere, as Zizelman will be pushed back all the way to midfield by a host of Roughriders.
Yeah, but Lucas Walter, specifically for the 2nd play in a row, getting into the backfield and getting a negative play.
If you're St. Mary's, you go into that game next week at Defiance. It's a team with that does everything right, preparation-wise. On 4th down, Schwiedeman in trouble. Schwiedeman dropped, and St. Mary's will get the ball back. Just over 2 minutes remaining. But you've got to be a little cautious not to overlook the Bulldogs and look to the regular season finale against their Auglaize County rivals in the Walpock and the Redskins.
Right, and I'm pretty sure that Doug Fry will do a good job keeping his team focused and knowing kind of what's on the line. And Defiance has been surprising some teams, although they're having a tough time with the other contender, the Walpock Redskins, tonight.
As this is going to be a handoff up the middle, Roughriders.
And another new in there, Kurt Jr. in at quarterback.
And big shout out to Guarneri's Pizzeria, providing our pizza for the entire crew tonight. Delicious. They always bring that out hot and ready for us, and we appreciate them serving us up tonight. Make sure to give them a call. Information on the screen.
Again, one of the best parts of the night is the pregame little pizza that we get And Guarneris did it up right. We totally enjoy that, and if you guys get a chance to go to St. Mary's, kind of hit them up right out there on Spring Street.
Shout out to our producer Scott Robinson for hooking us up with that. Third down and 8. Clock continues to run. 55 seconds and counting. Ball at the 38-yard line. Well, it's the Celina student section still being loud and rowdy. As on third down, the Rough Rider will pick up 2 to 3 yards, and the clock will continue to run down to 35 seconds.
And depending on how quickly they blow this in the play, this could be been the last. And the referee, yep, he knows how much time's on that clock. He waited until it was 25 before he blew it in. So the Rough Riders, they don't need to be able to run another play. And the St. Mary's Rough Rider train keeps rolling as they're going to move to 8-0 overall and 7-0, staying top of the WBL. And to them, just as importantly, in the 100th matchup against the rivals here in Grand Lake St. Mary's, they're going to triumph over the Celina Bulldogs once again.
Tonight, the Lake bleeds blue and gold. 42-0. Rough Riders take it. Or when we come back, you're watching Game Face Ohio.
You're on the go and don't have time for cords to be tying you down. That's why TSC created the Cord Cutter Bundle. You get big savings for bundling internet and cable, and there's no phone requirement. Choose from 20 megabyte, 50 megabyte, or 100 megabyte speeds. No phone, minimal TV, and all lightning fast internet. Ask about the Cord Cutter Bundles and come home to TSC.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Hello, Frost Roofing.
Frost Roofing holds the same core values our company was founded upon nearly 9 decades ago. We proudly provide quality craftsmanship and top-notch service to each client we serve. We're licensed by several major roofing manufacturers to give you the right recommendations at the best value for your investment. With state-of-the-art equipment, cutting-edge technology, and our honest way of doing business, Frost Roofing is our area's preferred commercial roofing experts. To learn more, visit frost-roofing.com or call 419-739-ROOF.
Final battle of Grand Lake St. Mary's from Skip Bachman Stadium goes the way of the Rough Riders as they take it 42-0 over the Celina Bulldogs. Let's take a look at how we got to that score. It was a pair of touchdowns in each of the first 3 quarters. Started off with Ty Schlosser from 4 yards out to make it 7-0. Braden Dunlap took it in from 1, making it 4. And then Eddie Fowler getting it done on the defensive end. A pick 6, 67 yards to the house. Blake Knorr with the tip to set that up. 28-0 after that one. And Ty Howe from Braden Dunlap, 35 yards out into the end zone for the score. Ty Howe then setting up the first touchdown of the third quarter with a nice run all the way down to the 1-yard line. Braden Dunlap says, "I'll do the rest," punches it in. 35-0 St. Mary's. And the capper right here, making it 42-0. Ty Howe. This time he says, "I'm not going down," all the way in for the score. And the Rough Riders take it 42-0 as Eli Alvarez, Paul Sadler here with you one final time. And Paul, it was a game that really, right from the get-go, St. Mary's had all control of.
They did, and they kind of controlled from the beginning where they scored the first few possessions, got the 3 and out, then they got after the one promising drive for Celina, the pick 6 by Fowler, set up by the tip by Knorr, really kind of almost really shut the door on the possibility of Celina having a chance. And while St. Mary scored 42, that actually does break their streak of 3 consecutive games scoring 60 or more, and 42 points actually does reduce their average per game that was up near 49 points. So, still, the victory bell was gonging for the Rough Riders.
Let's take a look at the stats as they tell the story in this one.
Well, They don't always tell the story because, you know, it is still relatively close. You remember Celina last week only had 106 total yards and gave up nearly 400 to the Redskins. On this appears like it would be a lot closer, but the final score was greater with the 42-0 defeat here tonight. And again, that one turnover really came back to kind of really put the game away early on, was that pick six. Going to the individual numbers, Zisselman did finish over 100 yards with 115 yards on 28 carries. Sweeterman had 20 carries for 63 yards, and Stevens chipped in 39. But Sweeterman was only 3 for 6 passing for 18 yards and an interception. The Roughriders, Dunlap was 3 for 4 passing for 69 yards and a touchdown. Perry was over the century mark with 133 yards on 13 carries. Howell had a touchdown and 61 yards. Schlosser had 47 yards and a touchdown, and Dunlap with 2 quarterback sneaks for a touchdown.
Well, we had 6 touchdowns to choose from, but only one of them is our Merit Real Estate Professionals taking it to the house play of the game, and it was the one defensive touchdown. As we said, it was set up by Blake Knorr, tipped it. Eddie Fowler said, "I'll take that." Goes the other way, 67 yards. And from that point on, the Roughriders never looked back. That was really a momentum killer too, Paul, because Celina was on a nice little drive before that.
Yeah, it was only 14-0 at that time, and they had a chance to be able to put the ball maybe in the end zone and make it a one-score game, and then you never know what it goes from there. But a 14-point swing potentially, going from a 14-7 game to a 21-0 game, and like as you said, it pretty much was a ball game from there.
Well, next week St. Mary's travels to Defiance to take on the Blue and White Bulldogs, Celina. They'll be at home against the Van Wert Cougars. We'll be covering Walpock and Ottawa Glandorf. That should be a good one. We hope you join us for that one. A big thank you to all of our guys, producer Scott Robinson, director Nick Bailey, engineer Todd Utrip, replay director Ian Fire, for AJ Leafy on stats, Paul Sadler. This is Eli Alvarez saying thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.